I'm not sure what it's gonna take for my people to truly realize that we're not welcome here. And it really doesn't matter whether you were born here or not. We're all looked at the same. Now, if you're Indian and you're watching this, you know as much as I do that we have a lot of similarities and we have a lot of disconnects.
Jesus Christ is God, and there is no other God. He is part of the Holy Trinity, and any other God is a demon, and it's false. How can you represent the constituents of Ohio who are 64% Christian if you are not a part of that faith? If you are an Indian, a Hindu, coming from a different culture, different religion than those who founded this country, those who grew this country, built this country, made this country the beautiful thing that it is today, what are you conserving? You are bringing change. I'll be 100% honest with you. Christianity is the one truth.
Christian voices should be the main voice of America.
You call yourself a Hindu, but you also call yourself Christian. But isn't Charlie Kirk's organization founded on Christian values as well? And isn't the United States of America also, based on what Protestantism is, based on how those values are? Wouldn't that contradict what your beliefs are? Different religion than those who founded this country, those who...
This is so funny because it shows you that all these South Asian men, especially who have become these big Trump supporters, they're not one of them. They're like, wait a second, like I'm white on the inside. They don't see that. Like you can see Vivek's like hairline trying to run away from the situation, or like Kash Patel in that one interview where they're like, we hope this person was a person of color. For so long, first generation immigrant South Asian, Indian people have been told to assimilate to white standards. They might see themselves, or we might see ourselves as an American first and foremost. But the problem is, most of America does not see us this way. You know how many people ask me if I do yoga? If I pray 5 times a day? I grew up Catholic in Iowa. America will always be racist against people of color. This is why people like Zohran Mamdani have resonated so much with people, is because he's so authentic about who he is. He knows his identity. He's not trying to cosplay. He's not like, a typical South Asian candidate like Kamala Harris or Nikki Haley, who really try to appease white voters in their identity. Yeah, Vivek, you deserve this.
Hello guys, welcome once again to the channel. I hope wherever you're watching, you're having a great time. Now, we have known that most Indian Americans in the United States in the last elections tried to support Donald Trump, especially given the fact that they had Vivek Ramaswamy as one of the leading campaigners for Trump. But after that vote, there is this rude realization that is coming among them. They're realizing that while they supported white Americans and their desires in the 2024 presidential elections, they will never be treated equal as whites. And that is a sobering reality that is now hitting them. They have been told that they cannot do things as they want. For example, look at Vivek Ramaswamy. He is a person who was close to Trump and even supported him. But look at how he's being treated right now. It seems the America that he was envisioning for himself is not the America he's living in right now. He's even not having that direct endorsement to run for governor. I don't know how most Indians who sometimes look at themselves in America and start even disrespecting blacks, what they think about themselves, because you can't be more white. Remember the one drop rule, that as long as you are not white as whites are, then you can never be white. As long as you have that drop of a black blood in you, you will never be a white person, and you'll never access the opportunities and even the rights and the enjoyments that other whites get. So in today's video, we're going to focus on this. Many have reacted to this, and most Indian Americans are coming out to say that all this has been a con on them. Let's watch this, come back, and share our thoughts in the end.
The extreme elements of any party will not accept all members, even if they believe in their ideology. Because sometimes you can't just be part of the way in. You got to be all the way in. You got to not only believe what they believe, but you got to look the right way. You got to dress the right way. You got to be perfect for you to be in the club. And Vivek Ramaswamy is finding that out. Check this out. The Ohio gubernatorial candidate was at a Turning Point USA event in Montana, running for office in Ohio, but he was in Montana. And he was speaking at Montana State University, and he was getting some disturbing questions. Let me just share some of the stuff that people said. He says, one person said, a male student, Jesus Christ is God and there's no other God. How can you represent the constituents of Ohio who are 64% Christian if you are not a part of that faith? If you're an Indian, a Hindu, coming from a different culture, different religion than those who founded this country, those who grew this country, built this country, made this country the beautiful thing that it is, what are you conserving? You're bringing change. I'll be 100% honest with you. Christianity is the one truth. And then a female student said that Ramaswamy was masquerading as a Christian. And he responded. He says, I'm an ethical monotheist. That's the way I would describe my faith. He said, yes, do you think it's appropriate for someone who's a Hindu to be president of the United States? And this was her response. No. But isn't Charlie Kirk's organization founded on Christian values as well? And isn't America based on what Protestantism is and based on how those values are? Wouldn't that contradict what your beliefs are? You see, the point I've been trying to make for a long time, for many years, especially to black and brown people who are conservatives, legitimately conservatives, believe in conservative principles, whether it be political ideology or financial conservatism, they believe in it. But for the extremes in the MAGA movement, they still don't get into the club because they don't look the right way and they don't pray the right way. Just believing in MAGA principles, political principles, is not enough. So for those of you out there that believe that you're going to be accepted, for a lot of them, you're not going to be accepted. You're never going to get in that club. When you show up with your membership card, it's going to be stamped. He's kind of in, but he ain't all the way in. That's just the way it is. And these are young people. This is the future of organizations like Turning Point USA, obviously, a lot of young folks, and maybe the future of MAGA. So Vivek Ramaswamy is finding out the hard way. Because just because you believe what they believe, it doesn't get you in the club. Your skin's still too brown. Your faith may not stack up to what they believe is the only faith, like the guy said, the only God. You may not look the right way, you may not pray the right way, therefore they'll never let you in. Just when you thought you were there, they'll remind you you're not even close.
Hands down, my favorite pastime is when a brown or black person has that realization that they will never be liked by racists. If you haven't heard of this guy, he is running for governor in Ohio. He decided to go to the Turning Point USA to get their support. And they humbled him so quickly with one thing, his religion. He's not Christian. And I don't know why he thought that they were going to see him somehow as an equal. A, you're brown. B, they don't like any other religion that isn't Christianity. So every single person who got up at the mic was like, you can't be our governor. You're not white. You're not Christian. And here he is. His heart is breaking. He's done nothing but chuck, jive, tap dance to appease them. And when it comes down to it, it was never enough. And so that's how y'all look. If y'all wanted to know how y'all look, for those of you who be tap dancing, chucking and jiving and wondering what it's going to look like when the tables turn, it looks like this. You see that? That's what it looks like.
Every time Vivek Ramaswamy gets on stage, it feels like he's putting himself through a humiliation ritual. If you are an Indian, a Hindu, coming from a different culture, different religion than those who founded this country, those who grew this country, built this country, made this country the beautiful thing that it is today, what are you conserving? You are bringing change. I remember watching him during the 2024 debates, and he was really trying to make himself like this baby Trump thing, and it wasn't working because people just didn't like him due to the fact that he wasn't white and Christian. It's funny because as much as the right would want you to believe that the left only cares about identity, it's pretty evident that identity is the most important thing to them, because the left is open to anyone.
anyone. Anyone can be on the left and be accepted. On the right, it's like, you know, you're gay, you're not in. You're black or brown, you're allowed, but like once we go far enough to the right, you're not allowed anymore. That's not even mentioning what they do to beer companies that even think about trans people. Just give it like a few more months and they're going to be calling Cash Patel slurs. I promise you they will.
I'll be 100% honest with you.
To the people that are pointing out that Christianity now in America, especially in the evangelical South and things like that, is no longer about the worship of the ways and the life that Jesus lived and worshiping God. It's now about, white Christian nationalism, right? They've merged the bigotry and racism under the guise of Christianity. You are right on the money. And those are young adults. Oh, there's more. That is Vivek Ramaswamy. Remember, he was running for president. His family is descended from India. He is a U.S. citizen, right? But however, they want to know, these kids, these young adults at the Turning Point USA, yes, Charlie Kirk's company, the dog whistling's out. They want to know how could he do politics when he is not Christian, which really means you're not white. You're not American as we know it. That kid snitched on himself and said, you are Indian. Before he corrected himself and said, you are Hindu. And then we watch Vivek here have to justify. I mean, what happened to separation of church and state? You want to talk about founding fathers. But Vivek had to justify his existence. I'll be damned if I ever have to justify my existence in front of some Europeans. But let's keep going.
Christian voices should be the main voice of America, and I want to know basically why you seem to be, and I don't mean to be horribly offensive, but why you seem to be masquerading as a Christian.
I'm not running to be pastor of Ohio. I'm running to be governor of Ohio, and I didn't run to be pastor of America.
We're going to do an exercise. If you've got this far in the video, run back the video. And every time you hear the word Christian, just replace it with the word white. Christian voices should be the voices that represent America. White voices should be the voices that represent America. There's a bunch of Christians and Americans that are not white. They will still find a way to remove them from the pool. There are a bunch of black people in this country that are Christian to the core, even more Christian than a lot of these folks. They still find a way to exclude them. They still find a way. You get the point. But now you see Vivek over there. They also call you out on something else, brother. They said you're masquerading to be a Christian. I know you're not masquerading to be a Christian, but you know what they're picking up on? Even these young adults, these adults that are learning all this stuff over there from Turning Point USA, they see you are trying to justify your existence. You are trying to find a way to fit in with them in their Christian lifestyle, even though you are of a different religion, different sect, whatever, etc. And they assume that you're worshiping their God. They assume that you want to be just, and look at that, they're picking on you, letting you know you're not welcome in this club. Now, in Vivek's defense, brother, you're right. You're not running to be pastor of America. You're running to be governor of Ohio. You ran to be president of the United States of America. But anyway, I say all this to say, insert the last clip.
Isn't Charlie Kirk's organization founded on Christian values as well?
I say all of that to say I would never let you guys gaslight me, right? We're less than a month removed from when people that look like me were telling you, you heard that, gentleman? Isn't Charlie Kirk's organization founded on this, that, and the third? And then went to the bigotry, went to try to exclude the brother because, he's not Christian, went to the dog whistles. I said, stop telling me about context. Stop telling me about this, that, and the third when your words are drawing a certain group of people and are radicalizing groups of people. It's either you are intentionally doing those things or you're not smart enough to adjust. You got a bunch of young adults there who they may not even know it are on that pipeline. That's right. Under the guise of Christianity. Even for someone as conservative as Vivek. But because he ain't bleached his skin enough and he don't worship Jesus, that bigotry start oozing out, that racism start oozing out like venom. You got those people under your banners, Turning Point USA behind you, using your name. After you're no longer here to correct it. Acting as though you would have lobbied and vied for this stuff. And you guys are trying to tell us, the words, he was a guy that brought peace up. Well, that's peace right there for you. And again, Vivek still at the end trying to justify his existence. I will rather sit and live in a stink of mediocrity. In a stink of mediocrity, okay, while being progressive, rather than selling out my soul and be a modern minority for a bunch of conservatives who will remind me anyway that there is a ceiling to my ascension. Good luck.
I'm convinced Vivek Ramaswamy goes through a humiliation ritual every single time he gets on stage and every single time he tries to win over voters and the trust of the people of Ohio. I kid you not, that man goes through a humiliation ritual.
Jesus Christ is God, and there is no other God. He is part of the Holy Trinity, and any other God is a demon, and it's false. How can you represent the constituents of Ohio who are 64% Christian if you are not a part of that faith? An Indian, a Hindu, coming from a different culture, different religion than those who founded this country, those who grew this country, built this country, made this country the beautiful thing that it is today. What are you conserving? You are bringing change. I'll be 100% honest with you. Christianity is the one truth.
Now, I'm convinced that there's an absolute curse upon Vivek Ramaswamy because every single time he gets on stage, he is humiliated, he is ripped apart. And this is one of those things about being a brown person in America. There's a layer of worthiness you have to prove if you're a brown person in America trying to run for office. Now, I remember every single time Vivek Ramaswamy ever went on TV or on a radio podcast or anything like that to prove himself, he was humiliated, he was ripped apart. I mean, the guy was a total mess. And, this just goes to show that whether you're Zahran Mamdani or whether you're Vivek Ramaswamy, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, you are a brown person. And let's be real, there's an extra layer of worthiness you have to go through.
How can you say you're a Christian when you don't follow Christian values? You say you're a Hindu, you say you're a Christian.
How can you represent the constituents of Ohio who are 64% Christian if you are not a part of that faith?
Vivek Ramaswamy, boy, oh boy, he keeps trying, doesn't he? He's pretty wealthy guy. Yeah. $900-something million worth. Yeah. And, he, of course, they question him on how he got that. But, most people that got a lot of money, everybody did something grimy. But he worked so hard to get the approval of some of these so-called Christians. And this video is they're just barraging him with questions like, I think Christian, to me, it's all this Christian is basically white supremacist bullshit. That's how I feel. It's a code word. It's just like when someone says, I'm from a small town, means there's no black people there. You understand where I'm coming from? Conservative means you're kind of racist, but not really. You can get racist depending on what the situation is. That's just how I feel about certain things. And there are other whites that agree with me. So I don't want anybody to get mad at this. And plus, I'm a comedian. So if you don't like what I say, get the fuck off of comedians' accounts. How about that? Anyway, so Vivek Ramaswamy, he ran for president, vice president. He tried to do some shit on Trump's cabinet. Didn't work. Like, yo, man, basically they're trying to say is we don't want no Indian dude running our shit. Okay, we are tired of you guys beating us in the spelling bee. We can't even win a spelling bee. A white kid can't win a spelling bee without some Indian dude crushing their ass. I know you're trying, but they just can't get past. So they use this word Christian bullshit. You're Hindu. What's wrong with being Hindu? They go Christian. This is the same people that talk about this Christian shit that, where the Klan would burn crosses on black people's lawns back in the day. And they would say in the name of Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior. When Jesus shows up, you guys are going to be pissed. You guys are going to probably burn a cross on Jesus's lawn when you see what he looks like when he shows up. So this whole Christian shit is a bunch of bullshit. And you're not even the first Christians, white folks. We can go back to Ethiopia and talk about all of that. And if you want to debate me in this religious bullshit, you can go do that. I'm sure you'll say it in the comments and give me a whole paragraph of that's not true. I don't give a fuck. All right. But Vivek, the point is, Vivek, they don't want your Indian ass to be running shit. Do you understand that? Okay. And Coulter even said it. You're brown. I'm not fucking with you because you're brown. So after this town meeting, I'm sure all of those white Christian conservatives are going to go to yoga class after, which is Indian created, and they're going to eat some Indian food off at some chicken tikka masala, some lamb korma, some saag paneer, mata paneer, some samosa. They're going to do that because that's exactly what they want you for, Vivek. They want you to let them know where the best Indian food is because that's what they love to do. I'm sorry. It is what it is.
So let me see here. First, you can't be a vice presidential candidate and be gay. Now, you can't be a presidential candidate and be Hindu or a gubernatorial candidate and be Hindu. The white folks told Vivek Ramaswamy, look, we love you. We love you, man. We love everything about you. Your poise, your experience, your success, your belief system, not religious beliefs. That's where we got to pump our brakes. Your policy is amazing. I agree with everything. But you not being a Christian, that's where I draw the line. We have seen both sides of the aisle basically be extremely prejudiced for two different reasons. On the Democratic side, we saw Vice President Kamala Harris when she was on the campaign trail to be the presidential nominee of the Democratic Party. She said her first choice was Secretary Pete Buttigieg, but she didn't pick him because he was gay. And to clarify, a lot of people say it wasn't just because he was gay, it was because of how people would perceive them together, a black woman and him being gay. That's too much going on. But at the end of the day, if he wasn't gay, he would have been chosen. And now we go to the Republican side of the ticket. And Vivek Ramaswamy was a Republican candidate for the president of the United States, but now he's a gubernatorial candidate for the governor of Ohio. And he was at an event for Turning Point USA. I think it was a different state like Montana or something. And a whole bunch of white kids got up there and told him that, yeah, you sound like a pretty great politician. Like, you would be a great governor. But that Hindu thing. And they would not let it go. And it's so crazy because both sides of the aisle, the people in response to, although, Vice President Kamala Harris was the actual one in power who could make it happen, these kids can't even vote for him for governor. So there's a difference there. But it's the fact that both parties told the candidates that they are qualified. They actually like their policies. Like, we like what you stand for. It's just these few things we won't allow. Oh man, that was a good one for Vivek. That wasn't in his state. He'll probably get those same questions, but he seems to get a lot of love in Ohio. And the way it looks, I don't know what's going on in the inner workings of Ohio. He's probably going to be the next governor.
And Coulter just told Vivek Ramaswamy that she will not vote for him because he is Indian and not white, even though she agrees with a lot of the things that he says and stands for. So the interview started off in an absolutely wild way. Vivek Ramaswamy gave an introduction preamble, introduced and Coulter, and then he basically went on to say the following. He said, and now I'm going to say the N-word that no one is allowed to say. And then he basically said the N-word being a nationalism. And then Ann Coulter's turn to speak, and she basically said, hey Vivek, love what you have to say, agree with a lot of the horrendously racist thing that you say, but I would never vote for you because you are Indian and because you are not white. To which Vivek Ramaswamy, being the absolute model minority that he is, says that while he doesn't agree with her absolute blatant racism, he doesn't say that of course, but he says that I do respect you for speaking your mind, aka for being racist. And Vivek Ramaswamy is worth $960 million, and what's the point of having FU money if you still have to grovel to has-been racists such as Ann Coulter who are insulting you to your face just so you could still appease the white supremacist GOP base? Vivek, they will never accept you no matter what you do. This man has a beautiful family, his wife is an accomplished doctor, and he just insulted all of them just to appease Ann Coulter.
Guys, Vivek Ramaswamy is learning the hard way that bigotry and white supremacy in this country run deeper than one could ever outrun. Vivek was having some town halls in Ohio because he's running to be governor of Ohio. Now, Vivek ran to be president, and of course, bigotry. So he didn't make it into the primaries. Be that as it may, he did cozy up to the Republicans enough to garner some sort of attention on the national stage. And so he ultimately was supposed to be a part of Doge. But again, bigotry and white supremacy. So Elon Musk was the front runner and took the lead on Doge. Vivek was working with Elon for 1.5 seconds, okay? He lasted shorter than a New York minute, okay? And then got up out of Dodge. Now he's running to be governor of Ohio, and he did a town hall. And let me tell you something, them Christian Caucasian kids did him in. They said, why would you ever think you should be running to be governor of Ohio when you a Hindu? How inappropriate. One of them kids said, listen, Jesus Christ is Lord, okay? And I don't know what you doing with this Hindu stuff, but I don't really think you should be the governor. Now, Vivek tried to clap back and said, I'm not trying to be the pastor of Ohio. I'm trying to be the governor. And they were like, but we don't want you. And, therein lies the lesson. Therein lies the lesson. Most people think we have a problem, right versus left, red versus blue, Republican versus Democrat, radicals versus, no. We have a class problem. We have a white supremacy problem. We got socioeconomic problems. Okay? Those are the problems we have in real life. Oh, Vivek, Lord have mercy on him.
Now, looking at this issue of Indian Americans and why right now they're complaining, you're able to see that they have never been white. And the level of respect that whites have given their color can never be attained by any person who is not as white as them. And therefore, this explains even the challenges that Vivek Ramaswamy has been going through under Trump administration. We believed that he's somebody who supported Trump. He even behaved like Trump. Some of the policies he was advocating were similar to that of Trump. But in the end, they're realizing that things are not going to work as they thought. And look at how they are a people who have always worked as gurus in the tech industries. But right now, because of the situation with the H-1B visas, I am sure they are not really happy about everything. Many Indian Americans supported Trump or his allies in the 2024 campaigns or have shown openness to Republican overtures, believing that success, merit, and conservative values would earn them full inclusion. Surveys show a modest shift towards Trump among younger Indian American men, though the majority still lean Democrat. Some saw the elevation of Indian American figures in Trump circles, such as nominations of Indian Americans to high roles, as proof of their loyalty and participation that would be rewarded. What many are witnessing now is that inclusion has limits. Even when Indian Americans are visibly prominent, they can be reduced to token figures, held to different standards, or subject to racialized critique. For example, Vivek Ramaswamy, despite being embraced in parts of Republican leadership, has on multiple occasions faced overt anti-Indian remarks where he has been caricatured in racial terms or treated as an exotic novelty rather than a peer. A recent online post normalized Indian hate by a white staffer in his department shows how Indian identity still draws open hostility even in the hells of power. Third, immigration and visa policy remains a crucible of inequality. Indian Americans disproportionately rely on H-1B student or employment-based immigration pathways. Under Trump's policy moves, H-1B visa rules are being tightened, fees sharply increased, and deportations of Indian nationals has continued. These are legal levers that disproportionately affect Indian immigrants, but are rarely framed as racial injustices in mainstream dialogue. In everyday life, many Indian Americans find their professional or social acceptance is conditional and limited. They may be accepted as model minorities except to excel, conform, be differential, but not welcomed fully into white-dominated spaces. When they assert boundaries, critique systemic racism, or demand deeper recognition, they can be accused of overreacting or being too political. The support for Trump and conservative alignment sometimes amplifies that willingness to downplay racial harm, but it also increases the sense of betrayal when basic respect and equality remain elusive. The contrast between public praise and private exclusion makes the disparity more jarring. Indian Americans supported Trump or his allies hoping for reciprocal inclusion, only to find that their allegiance doesn't always guarantee protection or parity. The treatment of figures like Vivek Ramaswamy and the ongoing immigration and social pressures make obvious that their status in America still hinges often on white tolerance, not on equal membership. This is the reality check. Despite success, contributions, or strategic support, many Indian Americans are confronting the hard truth that structural and racial hierarchies still place them outside the core of American whiteness. This is what is happening for them right now, and it is time they realized that they need to come and work in solidarity with blacks so that in any case there is any urgency or talk about finding things that can help equity and equality arise in America, they be included. Because when they look at themselves and they think that they have some better specialties than black Americans who have been in America for years, that really makes them a people who can easily be targeted and be disrespected by the government without any support from other minority communities. I guess this also happens when you look at how Hispanics and Latinos came out to call for blacks to come and support them. Yet when blacks were fighting for issues that were affecting almost everybody, Latinos saw that that was a fight for blacks and they were not supposed to join in. So that, I think, is what needs to happen. They need to come together during and even before elections, so that they elect people who have policies that can help embrace them and sort out their issues and challenges effectively. Share your thought down in the comment section, and if watching us for the first time, please remember to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and share. Thank you. Let's be to the next one.